Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day so far. So, I'm really excited today because I have my cousin Lori on with me, and she's going to talk about an experience that she had as well. So, good morning, Lori. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, pretty good. It's day after a big storm, so it's always nice.
Yeah, that was a pretty intense storm for sure. I think in London there was a tornado. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay, well, hopefully there was no injuries. Um,
I hope not either.
So this year so far has been a lot of storms. Actually, I think there's been more this summer than there was, I think, all last summer. This humidity is killer. Um,
It's the game of Jumanji of 2020.
oh my gosh, isn't it? I know what's gonna come next. Like, oh my god, I have no idea what's gonna happen next. But it definitely seems like every month is just updated with bigger and I don't know if you want to say better or worse, worse things that come at us. Oh my goodness. So I was really interested to get your call one day when you said you were listening to the podcast. So yay, thank you for listening to the podcast. And
Oh,
and secondly, that you related to something that Uncle Bart said in one of his episodes, one of his interviews that I did with him. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you heard about it and what it triggered in you?
well, I mean, I had thought about it in the past, and I had never ever seen it again. And it was just interesting because when you were talking with Uncle Bart that particular episode, he was talking about seeing a creature and described it as a 3 foot tall Sasquatch. And I was like, oh my God, that is exactly the description that I could not find or didn't find for what I saw. And it was just really interesting because I perceive it as a bit of a Satan's grace, almost like a guardian angel. I don't want to say guardian angel, just something that maybe my guardian angel sent to me.
Mm.
But I was driving, and I had been driving for about 4 hours. I was traveling from Ottawa over to the Huntsville area, just north of Huntsville. And I was by myself, and I had worked. I don't remember if I worked or had gone to school during the day. And this was dusky time. The sun was going down, but because it's out in the wilderness, it always seems darker.
Yeah.
And I remember coming around a bend, and I felt so tired. I was yawning, and my eyes were heavy. And then all of a sudden, on the right-hand side of the road, almost directly on the side,
Mm-hmm.
I saw this creature that looked like a 3 foot Sasquatch. And I was
Wow.
looking at it. It looked at me. I looked at it. And then it turned and it ran back into the woods. And I actually had to pull the vehicle over thinking, was I just sleeping? Was I just seeing that?
Wow.
And I was like, no, I was wide awake. And obviously for the remainder of the ride, I was wide awake. I could not, I was not tired at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like I said, a guardian angel had sent it down to me to say, hey, wake up. We don't need you to be in an accident.
Yeah. But here's an interesting way to think about it. Perhaps your guardian angel or your spirit guide or whatever you want to call it made sure you woke up in that moment so you could see that. Like maybe it was a double-edged sword. Like you were like, okay, they're going to wake you up and then also you're going to see something that a lot of people don't get to see. Or that people do see but they don't know that they've seen it. You know, like it's one of those things where this creature, okay, let's go with the traditional Sasquatch because you know a lot of people say that they've seen that or they've heard that or they've seen evidence of it, and then but they're like fully awake, they're on the hunt for it, right, and they never see it. But the people who have seen it physically are the ones who are in the middle of something or not fully focused, right, on what they're doing. So the hunters are not seeing it. But like you were in the middle of a drive and kind of, you know, zoning out, getting tired, and maybe your spirit guides was like, you know what, this is the perfect opportunity for you to see what's sitting right over there. So, So yeah, I'm sure that you said yourself that you had thought about it, but you hadn't really been able to describe it. So after the interview, when I was talking with Uncle Bart again another time, he told me that he was watching the show, and on the show they were showing caves and things that had drawings in them from prehistoric times, and one of the images looked exactly like that 3 foot tall Sasquatch.
which is mind-boggling. Like I I never told anybody about it because I just thought, at the time it was my mind playing tricks on me. And then I got to thinking about it. You know what? Like, it's kind of saved my life because there's no guarantee being out in the wilderness, like so far remote,
Mm-hmm.
that had I even just swerved, I would have gone into a ditch and more than likely gone into a tree.
Wow.
Just like I really saw it after thinking about it as a guardian angel or someone watching over me.
Yeah.
That's just the feeling that I got from it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it plausible? What you're saying about they wanting me to see it? You know what? It's very possible because I never even thought of it in those terms.
Yeah. And it's not something that, like, your mind immediately would go to, did I just see a deer or a dog? Or, you know what I mean? Like, your mind would go to those files of what you have in your brain of things that you already know. And your brain tries to fit it into, okay, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? And when your brain can't, it goes, what the heck? What did I just see? So,
Well, and that's part of the reason why I never thought of it again until Uncle Bart had said, "Hey, this is what I saw." I was like, "Oh my God!" Like that puts the description into words for me
wow.
because I mean, it sounds so simple to say a Sasquatch, but that's not. I don't know. It seemed difficult to form just the idea of what it looked like.
Yeah. So then this is interesting too because when he saw it, it was during an alien encounter. So does that mean that it's an alien? What do you think?
Well, and again, that's where I don't know.
Yeah.
But, to maybe I should look up this program that he that saw them on the caves.
Yeah.
Like, it's plausible. Maybe something happened off into a distance. Like, not that I would have followed it. Maybe it was looking for help.
Yeah,
If that
maybe
was
it's
the
got a
case.
family and that's the thing too, like there's so much that we don't know about this world and I think some people are so quick to say no, it's not possible. No, aliens aren't real. No, and I think how could they be so sure when there's so much about our own planet we don't know?
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling to me that people are so quick to say it's impossible. I don't think anything's impossible. I mean, I think we just may not have the tools right now to be able to see or do certain things.
I would tend to agree with that because our universe, the galaxy, the multiple galaxies, we've never seen the end. It's kind of, when you look at a flashlight, you can only see to where the light goes to, and we haven't seen beyond that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, there's so
It's
much that we
interesting.
don't know. Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I I don't know. It makes you wonder, and then of course when you see things from the U.S. government where they just posted now about having seen UFOs, and a couple of years ago I think there was a guy in the States that said there's evidence of 4 different types of alien life on this earth,
Wow.
and it makes you wonder what everybody else has seen, and maybe if everybody that's had visions or experiences, put them all in a room together and start categorizing everything.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the earth is at a shifting point and I feel like it's really in terms of this virus happening, our environment, all of the unrest about the treatment of people and indigenous people, black people, people of color, And I feel like it's like we're on the cusp of a huge shift. And I think people who have had experiences are finding each other and they're talking to one another. And it's funny, even with this podcast, all of a sudden it was just like in my head, okay, I got to do it. I didn't even know what a podcast was. I was like, okay, I got to do a podcast. Like, all right. And then when I called Uncle Bart to say, do you want to come on? And he said, you know what's funny? About the same time, so about 3 weeks before I spoke to him, he said, I need to get my story in order because I need to share my story. And he didn't know how that was going to be. And it turns out that it was because I was being called to make this podcast and he was being called to put a story together. So I think this is like a major shift for maybe they're coming. Maybe they're seeing that we're getting ready to know about them and to see that. And I think that they're peaceful. I don't think that they're like lizard men that are going to come down. I think they're peaceful and I think they're ready. They're seeing that we're ready to evolve. And yet the governments of a lot of places, I think, would meet them with guns instead of with, raised hands in peace, right?
Yeah. It's definitely thought-provoking when you sit down and think about and categorize everything that everybody has experienced, and just how much do we actually know, and how much has been hidden from us, and at the same time, again, if we put everybody in a room, there probably wouldn't be that much hidden from us.
Exactly. Yep. For sure. Well, Lori, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience with us. And I'd love to have you on again because I know that there's some more in there too. And, well, I really appreciate it. So you have a great day, okay?
Thank you, and you too.
Take care.